What if the earth is not dying, but trying to bloom? What if the crisis we see in nature, in society, and in ourselves is not only destruction, but the sign of a deeper imbalance? I believe that if we want to understand how the earth can flourish again, we have to look deeper. We have to look at life itself. Because nothing in existence stands alone. A human body is not just one isolated thing. It is a living relationship between cells, bacteria, signals, rhythms, exchange, and constant transformation. The same is true for a forest. The same is true for a society. The same is true for the earth, and maybe even for the universe itself. Everything exists in relationship. And wherever relationships become unstable, distorted, or destructive, systems begin to weaken. They lose order. They lose coherence. They lose vitality. But wherever relationships become harmonious, systems stabilize. They organize. They grow. They become capable of flourishing. That is why the whole is always more than the sum of its parts. Life is not just material. It is dynamic. It is exchange. Everything absorbs. Everything transforms. Everything emits. Stars radiate. Planets receive and respond. Water carries energy. Cells communicate. Living organisms constantly exchange information and force with their environment. And human beings do the same. Not only through technology or movement, but also through emotion, language, attention, action, and intention. So life is never static. Life is always happening in a field of interaction. And when that interaction becomes chaotic, life begins to suffer. We see this in the body as disease. We see it in the mind as confusion. We see it in human society as division, aggression, and emptiness. And we see it on earth as exhaustion, destruction, and loss of balance. So the question is not only what is broken. The deeper question is, what would allow life to become ordered again? And this is where my central idea begins. The earth is like a seed. A seed does not bloom because someone commands it. A seed does not grow because pressure is applied from outside. A seed blooms when the right conditions are present and when its inner potential is able to unfold. That means real growth cannot be forced. Real life cannot simply be imposed from the outside. True flourishing happens when what is already present within a system is allowed to develop into order. That is true for a plant. That is true for a human being. And I believe it is true for the earth Not the fertilizer decides what grows. The seed does. And the earth is still a seed. So if the earth is to bloom again, it is not enough to fight symptoms forever. It is not enough to control everything. It is not enough to react in panic. We have to create conditions in which life can reorganize itself toward harmony. This begins at every level. A balanced cell supports the body. A balanced human being supports the family. A balanced family supports the community. A balanced community supports the nation. And a balanced humanity supports the earth. So the earth does not bloom through one giant external solution. It blooms through countless acts of restored order. In how we think, in how we speak, in how we treat one another, in how we raise children, in how we treat animals, in how we treat water, in how we build, in how we live, in how much truth we are willing to bear. Because human beings are not separate from Earth. We are part of its expression, part of its movement, part of its field. And whether we want to admit it or not, every action adds something. We can add confusion or clarity. We can add destruction or renewal. We can add fear or courage. We can deepen fragmentation or strengthen coherence. That does not mean being naive. It does not mean pretending darkness does not exist. It means understanding that life becomes stronger when order grows stronger than chaos. And now comes the most important point. A living system does not flourish by absorption alone. It can survive by absorbing. It can continue for some time by taking in. But to truly flourish, it must transform what it receives and give something back. It must emit. That is the turning point in my idea. If the earth is to bloom again, it must not only absorb energy, it must emit more energy. More energy for life, more energy for growth, more energy for structure, harmony, and renewal. Because where there is not enough emitted energy, systems become weak. They become heavy. They lose momentum. They lose form. But where enough energy is emitted, life becomes creative again. Movement returns. Order returns. Vitality returns. So for me, the future of the earth depends on this. Can the earth become once again a stronger source of living energy? Can humanity contribute not only consumption, noise, and fragmentation, but also consciousness, responsibility, and creative force? Can we help the seed open? Because maybe that is our real task. Not to dominate life, not to replace life, but to support the conditions in which life can bloom again from within. The earth will not bloom again through fear. It will not bloom again through pressure alone. It will bloom when deeper order is restored, when relationships become more harmonious, and when the earth emits more energy again. That is my vision. The earth is still a seed, and the seed is not dead. It is waiting for the conditions in which it can open, radiate, and flourish again. May this seed, the earth, open, emit more energy, and flourish again.